With nutrition, I think one thing to mention first is that, again, it all comes back to what your primary goal is, right? Because we can have different goals, and this is kind of something that is really important to just think about, and also think about where you're coming from too, like you personally. So, are you someone who is, more sedentary? Maybe you're overweight or struggling with insulin resistance, and you're still looking to build some muscle, but you also primarily probably need to be dropping some body fat as your primary goal. Then that's kind of one thing, right? Like, we can still focus on building muscle and periodizing your training appropriately and focusing on progressive overload, and I can go into all of that. But if your primary goal is to lose body fat because you are metabolically unhealthy, then we need to make sure that we are, getting into a calorie deficit, that we're able to find something that we can sustain, something that works with our lifestyle, right? On the other side of that, it's where a lot of women come to me who are already kind of on the leaner side, right? And they don't have much body fat to lose, but they still think they need to lose body fat. And maybe they want to lose a little bit, which is totally fine. But they're kind of in that wheelhouse where they are very active. Maybe they're more like type A personality, which is where I used to be at. And so they're always go, like train 6 days a week, restrict calories as much as possible to try to lose that quote unquote last 10 pounds or 5 pounds or whatever it may be. So when we're in that camp, it's really more so looking at, okay, what have I been doing? Have I been restricting for a long time? Have I been in a calorie deficit for an extended period of time? And my body's just like tapped out on its recovery resources, not able to recover. Maybe you are in the gym training and you are, doing everything that you're supposed to be doing with your training, but you're not getting the results. A lot of that can come down to just not being able to recover from the stimulus that you're putting your body under. And that usually tends to be because we're under eating and we're not fueling appropriate, not eating enough protein, especially if a woman has come from like more of a keto approach and they've taken that more high fat, very low carb, like lower protein, moderate protein. I see a lot of that in my practice. So the first thing I would do is just make sure that we are bumping protein up to support what you're trying to do, right? Especially when it comes to building muscle, we know protein is super, super important for that. So yeah, with muscle building in general, like first of all, I would just first figure out where you're coming from, right? In those spectrum, and like maybe you're somewhere in the middle. And then really just like what your primary goal is. So if you are on the, leaner side and your primary goal is to build muscle, then you're probably going to want to be consuming enough fuel to support that muscle building, side of things. And then one other thing with that too, and it's something that we have to realize, is that muscle weighs something, right? It doesn't just come out of air and whatever, right? So if you're looking to really, go into a quote unquote muscle building phase and put some lean tissue on your body, first of all, you have to be fueling appropriately, but you have to also be okay with seeing the scale number go up. Because if the scale number is not going up, and obviously like we want to make sure that we're doing it in a way that is strategic, and we're not going from like, just downing tons and tons of calories because we think that that's what it takes. Really, it doesn't take that much extra calories to be in a slight surplus. But with that being said, we do want to make sure that we are kind of aware that if the scale isn't going up a little bit, and if you're already lean and your main goal is to build muscle, then we might not be doing what we're trying to do here, because muscle weighs something. So that's just one thing that a lot of women, especially, it's hard for us to grasp. And it was hard for me to grasp that when I went through my first building phase. So those are just some things that are kind of common. But with protein, I try to keep it as simple as possible, around like 1 gram per pound of body weight, especially if it's a woman who is on, more so the leaner side of the spectrum. If you are on the other side of the spectrum where you're closer to like overweight or obese, or you're struggling with that, bringing protein down maybe around like 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. That's generally where I go. And then for those who are leaner, even bringing protein up even higher can be beneficial, just because we know that there's so many benefits to protein when it comes to just all aspects of life. So not just with muscle building, but feeling satiated. We know the thermic effect of food is higher with protein. So even going up like sometimes 1.2 grams per pound, especially if you're leaner, even up to 1.5 grams, that's probably like the top end of it. And for some people, they feel better when they have higher protein, they feel more satisfied. And that goes not just for muscle building, but also into a fat loss phase as well. So generally, like I would say between 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. I know some people go for pounds of lean body mass, but I've just found that can be very confusing for people because not everybody knows their lean body mass, and we can test it, but there's, variances there. So just keeping it simple between 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight is a good range to be in for most people. And then in terms of timing, so this also depends on kind of, again, where you're coming from. Like, are you very experienced with your training and your nutrition? Like, have you been tracking a lot? Like, are you very dialed in with all the other aspects of what's going on in your life? Because if you're not dialed in with those things, then really the timing of things, they matter, but not as much, right? Because if you're not sleeping, if you're not managing your stress, like the other things are kind of just like drops in the bucket. So, but if you do have those things dialed in, then I would say with protein, it is important, in my opinion, to get enough feedings throughout the day. If your goal is to primarily build muscle, you want to make sure you're putting yourself in that anabolic state. So, and this can be a little bit different too, because we can go into the whole fasting thing. And it's really, again, it's just so independent of the person and kind of what their primary goal is, and also where they're coming from too.